And sometimes I say congratulations. What are the words?
I don't fucking know.
I don't know either. But Matt, congratulations. We have been nominated for a Dork 2024 award, the Serial Award, I believe, Box of Tricks.
Mm.
Best podcast. We lost.
Yeah. I mean, that's the story of Mac and Goo's life, right? We're
Yeah.
always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
But hey, we're
Catherine
happy to
Heigl.
be there. One of these days, we're going to get one of these career awards, right? Maybe
Yeah.
we won't deserve it, but after 10 years of nominations, we'll get it.
Other deserving podcast, obviously, the Keefe and Jones Show, which is a radio show.
Who were the nominees? I haven't listened to the episode yet.
I know they were. There was another one on there, and then the winner was TLDR.
I mean, that makes sense through the eyes of hashtag dork, because those book boys, I'm sure Keefe is actually getting stuff
Yeah.
from them, whereas listening to us, he's not getting anything.
Well,
from us.
they were rewarded for their hard work and the amount they post on social media.
Right. And they got a new logo now.
So, transitive property?
Right.
We're lazy bags of shit.
Do you think we need a new logo? Is that what it is?
We've gone through so many logos. I think we've settled on the logo that we want.
We've circled back.
We've circled back to logo 3.0, I believe.
3 or 4.0. This is my favorite logo, though.
No, this is the best of the logos. We're not going to any more logos. We're done.
Agreed.
Once we swap logos again, it's going to be RIP. But I would say congratulations to TLDR, but they don't deserve it.
No, if they cut to us sitting in the room while that was given out, we wouldn't have clapped. We wouldn't have smiled.
No, it would have been us looking at each other being like, who?
Yeah, thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
One goo, three, yeah. Goo. Jaws 3. Goo. King of Queens. Goo. Meryl Streep. Goo. Entertainment.
I'm Goo.
And I'm Mac.
And we are the Mac and Goo program. We bring you friendship.
Yeah, apparently not high quality enough friendship to garner an award, but a nomination.
No.
So we're
a nomination. We were nominated. We were invited to the dance, but we stood on the side while other people smooched in the middle.
And speaking of nominations, the film we are discussing today is highly nominated, will be nominated for Best Picture, will be nominated for Best Actress.
Yeah.
Anora. Anora is one of the best films, maybe the best of 2024. Goo and I were a little late to it, but not really. It had only been out. It came out towards the end of 2024. Goo, Anora is currently streaming video on demand wherever you can rent, buy movies. It's there. I don't think you can rent it yet. This is the first movie, Goo, and I'll always remember this. This is the only movie so far in my life I've actually bought digitally. Now, there are movies I own digitally because I bought the hard copy and you get the digital copy.
Yeah.
This is the first time I have bought a movie digitally because I wanted to see it so bad.
And when I started watching this movie, I said to myself, I know why Mac bought this.
Well, I didn't really know why I bought it. Well, hold on. The first 15 minutes reaffirmed my purchasing of the movie. I'm like, all right, it was worth it.
So I have Mac's account right now, and when I went to watch it, it was just at that 15-minute mark, and it said that Mac had watched the first 15 minutes of this movie 27 times.
Anora made $31.6 million over its short box office run.
That's not bad, actually. That's not bad.
No, $6 million budget, too. This movie did really, really well.
Yeah.
And I started hearing about this movie towards the end of the summer. You know, obviously it hit the film festival circuit. I had no clue what it was about. All I knew is the title Anora and that Mikey Madison was starring in it. And
did you know it was about a stripper / sex worker?
I had an idea that's what it was.
I had no idea. I didn't know what it was about at all. And when I hit play, my wife's like, I know why you want to watch this. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Also, I mean, we're adults. We can find
we're all adults now.
We can find things elsewhere.
We're all adults.
Now, if this came out in the 80s, this would have been one of those broken VHSs.
No doubt. Absolutely.
No doubt.
And
Gwen Stefani, if you will.
To be fair, I do love that, like, we're at a point in movie making where both critics and audiences can like love this movie and not even really talk about the sexualized parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago, this would have been a different conversation. What's the
Well, you
movie
mean
where
the
Chloe?
sex parts, not the sexualized parts, because the
Well, sure.
sexualized
Yeah.
parts, I think that
Yeah.
is a big part of the movie.
Yes, yeah, and I think this would have been perceived differently maybe 20 years ago. And you're right, this does have a bit of that 80s flair to it where this was more likely to have been made in the 80s than say the 90s, but we've come full circle. We've come back.
I
I
don't know what you
really
mean by that, but that's okay.
Oh, because the 80s was more like bold, adventurous filmmaking coming out of the 70s, and then the 90s got into that blockbuster era.
Okay, alright.
That's sort of what I'm talking about. Dude, this movie is awesome. There's just no way around it. Whether you have it number 1 on the year or not, it's a instantly memorable movie, and we
Mhm.
were talking about this over the last couple of weeks. When you're talking about 2024, at least the movies you and I have seen, not a very memorable year in movies.
Right.
Dune 2, for sure. You had Deadpool and Wolverine made a gazillion bucks. Wicked is working its way up there. But when you're comparing it against the last couple of years, a little lower. Now, this one immediately gets popped to the top of that list, near the top.
Yeah.
And then there's still a couple we have yet to see, which we'll see over the next couple of weeks. But this really goes a long way in strengthening 2024.
And this does a very good job, like The Substance, of it really sticks with you, and you need a couple days to chew on the last 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah. And with the substance, obviously it's very memorable in a raw story. This
Yeah.
is raw and memorable, but in an even maybe more personal way, like more realistic, obviously, than what we got in the
Do you like
substance.
this? Pretty Woman meets Uncut Gems.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. A love child of Pretty Woman and Uncut
'Cause
Gems.
let me put it this way too, is in Uncut Gems is, around every corner, you expect him to make the wrong decision, and you're
Mhm.
super anxious the entire time. I don't feel that anxiety in this movie. What I feel in this movie is I feel gross, much like I did in Uncut Gems, but you also feel like she is making the right decisions. It's just that those decisions, none of them turn out well. Not to spoil anything.
Yeah, so the primary difference, it isn't as anxiety driven as Uncut Gems,
Oh,
and
also,
99% of
every line in the movie, much like Uncut Gems, yelled at you.
Uh, it's not as anxiety driven or inducing as Uncut Gems, but 99% of movies ever made is not are not on that level. But unlike Uncut Gems, it feels like the characters in this movie, even though when there's bad things going on, they're mostly good people. They're just
Yeah.
in bad situations. Where Uncut Gems, there was a lot of bad people. Like it was
Well,
bad people
one of
doing
the
bad
main
things.
characters in this movie is a bad person
Yes, that's
that
for sure.
puts someone else in a terrible situation.
Yeah, but the one bad person puts 3 or 4 goodish people in a bad situation, and what I really love about this movie, Goo, is after the first 30 or so minutes, it gives you a bit of a swerve, and you end up spending time with all these characters that you didn't expect to
It's
spend
almost
time
like
with.
it's a silly black comedy after a while.
A little bit, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
both dark and black comedy where you're talking about some serious matter, but it's also laugh out loud funny multiple times. Like
Yes,
I cackled a couple times, and
same.
I really didn't expect that from this movie. So that was a nice underbelly to everything. Goo, this is a comedy, drama, and romance. It does all three of those things really well. And again, it's not an outright comedy, but there are several hilarious scenes. Um, I don't know how I would so subgenre rom-com, also quote unquote steamy romance. I don't know how much of a rom-com this is. There is rom-comish
The
elements,
first
but
half hour is kind of a rom-com. The first half
yeah,
hour is
yeah.
Pretty Woman, and then we get that happy ending. The only issue is there's another hour 45 to the movie, and the happy ending is not gonna be there.
Yeah, and then the last 20 minutes kind of come back around to somewhat of a romance-ish story with these broken
But it's
characters.
super confusing, but purposefully confusing
Yeah.
because the character is so confused about her life
Right. It's
and
it's a
doesn't know
very
how to
unique movie.
handle certain situations.
Very
It's
even though we draw parallels to movies we've seen in the past as we do with every movie,
yeah,
it's a very unique movie, and I think that's why it's instantly memorable and why
yes,
and moreover, like, the acting done in this movie is fucking tremendous. Mikey Madison's amazing.
yes.
Goo runtime of 139 minutes, so 2 hours and 19 minutes. Um, it does allow the last 20 minutes or so, you recognize, all right, we're at the end, and it does maybe go on for a few minutes too
You
much.
decompress.
That's exactly right. It's like this catharsis decompression where you need to sit with what just happened, and
Yes.
you actually wanna see how it affects Anora and
Right,
Igor.
because the discussions that she has there is she's pretty much telling him from her point of view, like, how she felt during that whole, let's call it silly part of the movie,
Mm,
and it is disturbing, but then how she flips that in the final scene where she doesn't know what to think or how
right.
to reward someone other than doing it a certain way.
She falls back into what she knew instead of maybe,
Learning from the situation.
yeah, having a bit of character
But
growth
then
there, and that
kind of does though, but she does.
yeah, and I think that's why I really love this movie,
Yeah,
is it doesn't give you this, storybook, this Cinderella ending that it was setting up for in the first 30 minutes, right? It
yeah.
it it gives you a really grounded and realistic ending to what was originally a Cinderella story, and that's why this movie is so good, so memorable for me. Goo, on Roddy T's 94% from the critics, 90% from the audience, everyone's liking it. Goo, on Metacritic, a 91.
That's really good.
Very rare we get into the 90s on Metacritic. Actually, friend of the program, Billy D, the other day was picking my brain real quick about Metacritic scores and sort of where they land. Generally, here's how I look at it: 70 plus, really good movies on your short list for best movies of the year.
Yeah,
80 plus, like definitively one of the best movies of the year. When you get into the 90s, you're talking like best movies of the decade.
yeah.
Some of the all timers, you very rarely get it up into the 90s. And now I don't think this movie's going to hit for everyone, but the people that connect to this movie, I think it's going to be instantly their favorite movie of the year.
Two things. Number one, Billy D also wants me tarred and feathered for putting the dubs on for watching Squid Game with the dubs. I
Yeah.
had a lot of laundry to do. Where does everyone have all this time to sit there and completely focus for 16 hours and not only read, but watch the actions on the television screen? I'm sorry. I'm tired.
I get it. I get
The
it.
big
I don't condone it, but I get it.
the big crossover from 2024 to 2025, I'm still tired.
You and
Number
I both.
Let me ask you this. Is this a movie that you can recommend to people, or do you need to know who the person is?
I was thinking about that, and you know what I was also thinking about a little bit, and it's more vulgar and I guess R than Silver Linings Playbook. But if you do like rom-coms that are more in the vein of Silver Linings Playbook,
Yeah.
more drama than romance, this is really up your alley. This is a movie that, yes, it's a film that people that went to art school can appreciate, but I also think because it gets to the very base elements of what make people good and bad, I think this is a movie that a lot
It's
of
a nice
people can
story.
like and understand.
Let me also this is borderline NC-17, right? Or am I just a prude?
I think because it's more like the couple times they show sex scenes, it's like softcore-ish. They don't really
It
show
is very
any.
softcore.
You
Yeah,
know, it's
but
it's
you
shot
think
from a certain angle. There is and a little peek behind the curtain here. If you like seeing breasts, you're gonna like this movie. If you like seeing
put it
bums, you're
on
gonna like
the
this movie.
DVD cover.
But I like that that's mostly contained to the first, like, 20 minutes of the movie, right?
Yeah.
20, 30 minutes, that
And
Cinderella aspect,
everyone's
that
playing hard and fast.
yeah, and it's that, like, honeymoon aspect of a relationship too, where the first bit is obviously always great, and it preys upon that. So that's mostly contained to that first little aspect. But, like, I wouldn't have a problem, and I was thinking about this. I mean, my dad's barely a human, so I couldn't recommend anything to him. But I was thinking about this. I was like, you know what? I think my mom would actually like and watch this movie too. I don't know if I'd want to watch it in the same room as her, but I think she would like it, watch and like this movie.
Hey, Dad, you should watch this movie. Oh, what's it about? There are boobs. I'm in.
In say
Did
no more.
what? You wanna hear the plot? Nah.
No, I'm good.
Nah.
Just put it on. Goo, this movie is written and directed by Sean Baker. Not an unknown, but hasn't really gotten his roses yet. Hasn't really made a blockbuster type movie. So, little peek behind the curtain for Sean Baker. He's one of the creators of Greg the Bunny, Goo, way
Oh,
back when.
no way!
How about that? How
Greg
about
the
that?
wait, hold up. Greg the Bunny, that is I was thinking of Unhappily Ever After, but Greg the Bunny is the Seth Green one, right?
Yeah. So there was 2 iterations of it. I think he was more heavily involved in the second iteration. But that's a really funny note
I'll
to
tell you
think
right
about.
now, take my excitement that I just had in my voice, take it
Yeah.
down to like 40%. I thought you meant Unhappily Ever After at first, the vehicle with Nikki Cox
Love
and
Nikki
Reese
Cox.
from Malcolm in the Middle
Mhm.
and Bobcat Goldthwait playing a bunny. Not that show.
No, no.
No.
Greg the
But
Bunny,
you know what?
different show.
The excitement, take it down to 10%. I'm not that excited actually.
And then coming off of Greg the Bunny, which was the mid 2000s, the 2 movies he's most notable for are The Florida Project, which was
Oh,
2017, I believe, and
yeah.
then Red Rocket, Simon Rex in 2021. Both of those movies I'm very aware of. I have not seen either movie. I remember way back when in 17, Marcus of the Boxers really, really liking The Florida Project. So
Yeah.
I loved this movie so much. I'm probably going to go back and watch both of those.
Do you feel like it's a good investment, a good little bet? Because he's not neck and neck, but he is, I think, plus 275 for best director. Do you like his chances at the Academy Awards?
I felt like, and I told you this maybe a week or two when I first watched this movie, I think this is the best script of the year. But then when he didn't win screenplay at Golden Globes, it was a little disappointing. So
Mhm.
I'm not so sure if the Academy is going to be bullish of him or not. And it is 2 separate voting, blocks from Golden Globes and the Academy. I think that's decent value there.
Mhm.
And now that it is video on demand, more people are going to be
Yes.
seeing it, and this is going to pick up more steam. So I do like the value there. I truly think, as much as I liked Dune Part 2, and that still might be my favorite movie of the year, I think this is the best script I've seen all year.
It's like story-wise, the
Best written
substance
script.
I said the
Best written
substance
script.
is still really good too.
Substance is a great idea. The best written script of the year to me is this one
Yeah, but
by
the
a
substance
wide
goes out
margin.
of its way to be dumb on purpose, which
I
that
no, I
also
I I understand that, but, like, the magic of this movie is having that comedic underbelly through all these serious moments. Like,
yeah.
the 30 minutes that take place in the home after, like, the 2 henchmen get there might be the best 30 minutes of any movie of the whole year outside of that, like, final 40 minutes of Dune. So, this movie's truly awesome, and I think all walks of life, even if you're a superhero comic movie type of person, I still think you can watch this movie and really enjoy it. Give a synopsis: a young escort from Brooklyn meets and impulsively marries the son of a Russian oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as his parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. This stars Mikey Madison as Annie, aka Anora, Mark Edelstein as Ivan, aka Vanya. That's the son, the one that has all the money, the one that
Real
marries
son of a
Annie.
bitch.
Hey, oh.
Mm.
Vache Tovmasian as Garnick. That's the bearded fellow who gets his nose broken by Annie.
He's pretty
Uh,
funny.
he is, yeah. Yuri Borisov as Igor. He's the bald fella who's very, very good and really understated most of the movie. He
Mhm.
does a great job most of the movie just reacting to things in the room, and it's great. Karen Karagulian as Toros. This is the godfather, the kind of leader of those three. The scene where he's driving over to the house while they're in the house and he doesn't understand what's going on is fucking
Yeah,
great.
he's
So,
on
so
speaker.
good.
Mhm.
Lindsay Normington as Diamond. She's the ginger stripper, aka the ginger cunt,
Oh,
as
that's your only one, you gotta
Annie
put it in your
affectionately
pocket.
calls her. Luna Sophia Miranda as Lulu. This is Annie's main stripper friend at the club. And then Alexei Serebryakov as Nikolai. That's the father. And Daria Ekamasova as Galina. That's the mother. They don't really come into the third act. Goo, I think your description of this movie as Pretty Woman meets Uncut Gems is pretty spot on. There's other elements of it, but smashing those movies together gives you something like this. But it's essentially a Cinderella story that goes south. There's some really funny parts throughout this, and the dynamic that gets built between Annie and that group of three is unbelievable. And then like their task with going to find
Yeah.
Vanya it's just a fun, like, little it's weird that it's a fun little adventure, but it becomes a fun little adventure, like, in the nighttime of New York City, and I don't know, it's such a unique movie that I really enjoyed it, and it brings a smile to my face thinking about the movie.
It also felt so real in the fact that every one of their conversations between those four ended in an argument or ended in someone yelling. And while Mikey Madsen's character might be a little repetitive in what she says, a lot of people say the same things over and over again.
And that is sort of also what I'm getting to with the script of this movie. It feels like people you would know how they would react
Outside
and
of
say
her
things.
being an escort, like everyone knows that like specific person
Right. Someone that would react the way she does. Maybe
to
would
every situation.
yeah. Goo, you wanna get to the octagon, nonagon,
Let's
gauntlet? What
get
do
to
we
the
got here?
nonagon, Mac. I will ask you fun factor.
The dynamic that's built up between Annie and those 3 is so, so fun. You obviously get the little, like, strip club nightlife
Yep.
fun on top of it, but the adventure that these 4 characters go on for most of the movie is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this movie is like it's like you're driving, and this is happening multiple times. And you just keep on you're driving, you're in cruise control, and then out of nowhere, road work. Hit the brakes. We're gonna change everything up. And then you're driving along, stop again. Like there's so many abrupt stops in this movie to the tempo and to even the genre of the movie that it keeps you in there.
Perfect example of what you're talking about is when they finally get, like, down to the boardwalk or whatever, and he
Yeah.
parks his car, and then when they get back, his car's getting towed. Like,
Yeah.
that 2-minute scene was fucking awesome, and that's a real microcosm
If you're
of
the
what
tow
the
truck
movie
driver,
is.
just take the money, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take
They offered
take the
you money,
cash.
just take the money, it's cash.
Yes.
No one can
Yes.
trace cash. Satisfactor. At first, upon my first watch, the final scene and the penultimate scene, I really needed some time to chew.
Mhm.
But after some time to digest it, I'm feeling real good about it.
Yeah, and I think that's really the point of this movie too, is to make you sit down and think about it
Yeah.
and where it ends up and how you really wanna feel about it. So, like, satisfying wise, it's satisfying to see Annie build up her confidence a little bit throughout this movie
Yeah.
and telling people to kick rocks, and there's a great scene between her and the mother. And then the ending is, like, purposefully not satisfying,
Yeah.
but because of that, it makes the movie more satisfying because it's more grounded and more realistic.
Yeah.
It's just it's really, really well done, and it's a movie that because a month ago, when people were asking me for recommendations here and there for movies, obviously Dune 2, everyone had seen. People had seen Deadpool and Wolverine. The Substance is a much harder recommend.
Yeah.
This is now going to become the movie from 2024 that I recommend to people.
Okay. Well, that answers the question from earlier. Would have been nice
Mm.
if you said that earlier when I asked you. Borometer, and I think the tempo changes really help kill any bore. I will say that maybe as we were in the honeymoon phase for that little period of time, I was questioning, like, when are we going to start to have any conflict in this movie?
Right, right.
And then
That's
it's
fair.
just conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, no barometer ticking here.
Yeah.
To Goose point, the pacing is awesome, and you're not necessarily sure what's gonna happen around every turn.
Waterworld, is this movie better or worse than the 1995 classic Waterworld? I think it's better.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
fuck you, dickhead.
All right. Halloween. Will this movie wane over time? And I will say that I saw this 2-ish days ago. I think it's better now than when I saw it. I've had some time to think.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's gonna wane at all. I feel like it instantly became one of the 2 or 3 more memorable movies of the year, and then thinking about it and thinking about these characters and, like, I was excited to talk about it today with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you, like, I think I might have had it, dogs-wise, maybe below 40 initially, and now I'm wondering, like, is it a 40 dog movie? Like, I'm having a really hard time having any gripes with this movie.
When life gives you Plemons, you make Plemonade. And who of the smaller scale characters stood out to you?
This is tough because the movie is mostly spent time with 4 characters, so
Yeah.
there's very few opportunities for Plemonade. I really like when the father came in the third act and was just laughing at what
That
Annie
was
was
gonna be
doing.
my guy because
Yeah, that's a good one.
so Mickey Madsen? Oh, am I saying
Mikey,
okay,
Mikey,
Mikey
Mikey
Madsen,
Madison,
not Ryan
not Mark
Madsen.
Madsen.
Okay, Mark Madsen. I don't say Ryan Madsen. Um, but Mikey Madison calls out the mother at the end of the movie, and the father just gets into like a laughing fit, and I
Yeah,
love that. That was
it was
so
great.
funny. Yeah,
Great moment. I think I'm gonna give the Plemonade to Karen Karagulian as Toros. This is the godfather. This is
yeah.
the third of the three that arrive at the house. And the 15 minutes of him driving over there, trying to figure out what's going on. And then when
Also
he gets
leaving,
there, being like, what the fuck happened?
he also left a christening.
Yeah,
Being like,
yeah,
Madge,
that's
I
right.
have to go.
He's
Emergency.
checking his
I need to go.
phone in
Yeah,
the
I need to
church.
go.
That was awesome. Yeah, and then when he gets to the house, he's like, "Why is she tied up?" And then the bearded guy is like, "Be careful, be
Yeah,
careful."
he's gonna bite you. Pants Tent City, Excite Bike Mania. What got you going in this movie? Ah,
Well, to be frank, there's some actual lap dances and some strip club action here, Goo. But honestly, as a fan of movies, the 30-ish or so minutes where they all get to the house
yeah,
before they leave is like a Pants Tent City scene. The little fights that are breaking out, like
mm,
it's fucking phenomenal. The dialogue is great.
yeah.
Like that's some of my favorite shit from the whole year.
I also did find it really funny where she was like, "If you slow down, you might be better at this."
Yeah, yeah, that was good too. Which is like, as a young lad, we were all there one or two times where they're like, You
Well, as
can
a
make
soon to
love,
be
you don't have to fuck."
36-year-old, I looked at my wife. I'm like, "Is that true? That's foreign to me."
Speaking of, and it is nice to have a different perspective on the program every once in a while. How did you? So you watched this with your wife.
Yeah,
How did your wife ultimately end up feeling about this movie?
I never asked her.
All right, I guess we'll report back.
Let me shoot her a text and see what she says. No, she was laughing a lot. She had a good old time. I think she
Yep,
also needed to chew on that final 20-ish minutes.
yep, understandable.
Max Credit Union, Mac, who you giving credit to?
It's Mikey Madison. To me, it's the best performance female wise I've seen of 2024. It's her and Demi right now, I think, for best
They're
actress.
both at minus 110 on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, I Demi did a really good job. But I also think Margaret Qualley might have done a better job in that
But do
movie.
you think that Demi is going to get a little more love as a Lifetime Achievement Award?
So that's certainly a possibility. And this is like Mikey.
Let me jump on this first.
Mhm.
I'm not saying because of her age. I'm saying because of her qualifications and years of not being recognized for amazing movies.
I do think that is going to factor into the voting for the Academy. I also think the fact that Mikey Madison is like a newcomer
Yeah.
also affects that. So
Can't let
she's
a
got her
newcomer
time.
come in and steal the show.
So I think that will play, but I don't know. Maybe you could speak to this because you might be a little lower on this movie, but I think she is definitively better than Demi Moore, as good as Demi Moore
I think
was.
that she is the anchor of this movie, whereas Demi is splitting the spotlight.
Yeah.
Mikey Madison in this movie is she in every scene?
Yeah, I think she is in every scene. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
She's
she
in
is.
the full 2
And I
hours and
would
20
even say
minutes.
she's the focal point of every scene too.
She is. She is. Because everything, I mean, some of it plays off Ivan as well, but everything and every character plays off of her in every scene.
If Mikey Madison wins, her acceptance speech should go up there and be like, "Demi, it's my week." That is a reference to The Substance, by the way,
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
because in
mhm.
the movie, the younger version kept on stealing time. The balance is over.
It would be quite ironic if Mikey Madison, a 20-something-year-old, not too far off from Demi Moore looking actress, beats her for Best Actress.
And she should reference The Substance and how she is younger. That would be a great joke.
It would. It
It's
would.
not gonna happen, though.
It won't.
Mac, for those of you tardy to the Mac and Goo party, we rate everything on a 40 hot dog rating system. Like I said, I loved the tempo of this movie. I loved the overall feel and just how around every corner you're feeling good for her. You're feeling like things are gonna work out. Put those feelings back inside because that's it's not gonna happen. Um, And like you said earlier, as she's gaining more and more confidence, as she's, feeling like she's out of, the certain way that her life was, things are just going to get worse. And she's going to, not to her own fault, but revert, go back in her shell. Um, and that last 20 minutes is something that's just going to stick with you. And this is really, really funny for a good portion of the movie. The hot dogs are tough.
Mhm.
Because I will say, I think I gave The Substance 37 or 36. What did I
I
give?
think I gave it 36 or 37 as well. Yeah, we were both in that same range.
Because I think I'm around the same range as that movie. And I think I liked stretches of this movie more. And I think this plays with more emotions as well. Does it make you think more? No, both movies make you think. I think I have it at this. Whatever I gave The Substance, give this movie the same.
All right. So call it 37, I'm assuming.
Let's say 36, 37. I think it's either tied or just below that for best movie. I have Dune Part 2 as best movie on the year. This is either second or third on the year.
Okay. Yep. That's a very valid opinion on the movie, Goo. Like I said, I've said it a couple times. That 30-ish or so minutes after Garnick and Igor, the two like henchmen, get to the house might be my favorite 30 minutes of cinema outside of anything in Dune 2 this year. That time spent in the house builds such good tension and vitriol between the four characters and intrigue for the rest of the movie. And that's also like all four of those characters are like acted extremely well, and then they're like kind of set free in that sandbox. Everyone's having a blast playing their characters. Good. I forgot to mention, by the way, speaking of when it comes to awards season, Mikey Madison also learned how to speak Russian for this movie, which is not easy to do. Not a natural Russian speaker. Not that she speaks it a ton, but she did learn it. When the parents finally get involved in this movie, I love that short dynamic too. They're just one note, cold-hearted. You knew exactly what they were coming there for. And then you did think for a second she might win them over, especially when the father was reacting the way he was.
She might win at least one of them over, or like maybe there might be some kind of a happy ending to this, because it was pretty slapsticky leading up to that part. But no, it's just a hard, 2 lanes of traffic are closed. You got to squeak by.
And I think we're going to be mostly spoiler free-ish. So I'll say this, the outcome ends up being kind of heartbreaking and realistic. And I loved the relationship that gets built up between Annie and Igor throughout this, where they're not really vibing, but ultimately they're very similar characters. And so that final 20-ish or so minutes essentially shows that and hammers that home, that they're really living similar lives. They're both doing whatever necessary to get by. And although they might be doing bad things, they're not bad people. They're good people just doing what they need to do.
But it also gets into, siding with your captor and all that type of stuff, and sympathizing with the people. Like,
there's some of that
Stockholm syndrome in there as well.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. So ultimately, so that's like the final 15 minutes, and then you get the final 5 minutes where he's helping her drop off her shit at the house. And I loved the final image and the final scene of this movie, Goo, because Annie is broken and she doesn't finally actually break until this moment.
Yeah.
And it shows that, like, even though this runtime, might have gone a certain way to fix her or change her, she's still like scarred from it. And she's a person, and it's hurtful, it's heartbreaking, but it's also in some ways hopeful, because now they're not separate, right? They kind of have one another to be hopeful for, or with, or bounce things off. They may realize they're not alone.
They never see each other ever again,
which is a possibility.
Which is also, because I love the fact that they just didn't end up together.
Yes, that's why I loved, like, there's no definitive thing as to where the characters are,
because her initial response, her immediate mindset is to thank someone by doing a certain thing, and then while we're getting into it, it's like, what did we just go through?
Right. And then in that moment she has that realization too. Like, she goes back to her old ways, and then she's like, wait, like, I thought I was over this, I was getting over this, and she couldn't help it, and then she's overwhelmed. It's a really really heartbreaking
Even
scene.
the physical aspect of it too, of being pulled in, that might have also triggered her too.
Yeah, yeah. So like Goose said, I did spend a couple days afterwards too thinking about this movie, sitting with this movie. I tried hard to find something I didn't like about this movie, and I really couldn't come up with anything. So it's funny, it's poignant, it's relatable, it's entertaining. You really enjoy these characters, despite how dark it gets at times. I think it's a 40 dog movie for me,
Oh,
Gil. I
nice,
think it's a 40 dogger. I
nice.
got Dune Part 2 at 39, and I did have some small gripes with that movie. Obviously, that movie's also a box office sensation, huge blockbuster, so it's different. But man, I love this movie. And so maybe it's 39, but I feel like in 2 months I'm gonna keep thinking about it, keep recommending it, which should mean that it's probably 40. So I'm just gonna give it 40 hot dogs.
All right. Is there anything quickly that you want to spoil, or should we just move on?
No, I
We
think that's good because I also think a lot of people haven't seen it yet, and
yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are gonna watch it in this next month or so. So double thumbs box up Magoo from
Well,
Mac
no,
Magoo.
that's no. We each have to give it 40 for a double
No,
box thumbs up and go.
come on, come on.
All right, Mac. Very quickly, I still have not seen this movie yet, and
Shoot.
I need you
Okay.
to tell me why I should go to the theaters as we speak
Yeah.
to go and see Sonic 3.
So I was just gonna ask you, do you wanna keep Anora as its own thing and save this for more of a smorgasbord? Do you want me to just run over it quickly?
I would say that it's better for this episode to put in the
Okay.
title Anora and Sonic 3 because it's also really funny to have these two movies as the episode.
All right, so Sonic the Hedgehog 3 currently in theaters. It's going on week 4. It's finishing its 3rd week. It's up to $341 million worldwide. It's doing extremely well. It's a rated PG action, adventure, comedy, family, fantasy, sci-fi. It does all of those things decently. Some subgenres in here, Goo. Animal adventure, globetrotting adventure, superhero, and supernatural fantasy. I like globetrotting adventure. I'm into that. I like that.
Globetrotting animal adventure. I'm in.
Bang.
Bang.
This is a runtime of 110 minutes. It's not long, under 2 hours. On Roddy Teasgoo, 86% from the critics, 96% from the audience.
I don't care
So,
about the audience, the
yeah,
critic wise, that's really good.
audience score wise, it's pretty consistent with the first 3. Critic wise, they were 64 on the first one, 69
Nice.
nice on the second one. 86 on this is a significant jump up. However, on Metacritic, a 47 on both of the first 2 movies, a 56 on this one. To me, it's a weird split because I feel like the second movie and the third movie are eerily similar in terms of enjoyment and quality. First movie, I think, is subpar, spends too much time with the humans. In fact, I think this third movie probably does a little bit too much of the human element. To me, the second one's the best of the 3,
Okay.
but the second and third are pretty similar. This movie is written by Pat Casey and Josh Miller, as well as John Whittington. That's the same team that did Sonic 2. Casey and Miller did Sonic 1, as well as Violent Night. They're also upcoming working on Violent Night 2. That's the David Harbour Killer Santa movie.
I would make a second one of those. It
Great
made a lot.
question.
It made a good amount of money,
It
actually.
did decent.
Yeah.
Whittington, of course, worked on the second one. Also the writer on Lego Batman, Lego Ninjago, DC League of Super Pets, and he also wrote the Knuckles series that's in this universe. So he's had a pretty good career so far. This is directed by Jeff Fowler, who did the first 2 and the Knuckles series. Upcoming, he's doing the Pink Panther movie, which I don't have high expectations for, but I think it's sort of going to be operating in the same vein as these movies. So he's probably a good person for
Is
that.
it a sequel to the Steve Martin vehicles?
It's probably it's brand new.
I'm a
universe, I guess.
hamburger. Hamburger.
Synopsis
Those?
Goo.
I don't think I saw those movies. I definitely saw the commercials though.
Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite against a powerful new adversary, Shadow, a mysterious villain with powers unlike anything they have faced before. With their abilities outmatched, Team Sonic must seek out an unlikely alliance. If you remember at the end of the second movie, Sonic and Tails unite with Knuckles to defeat Robotnik.
And then
post-credit, we
Shadow
get
turned
Shadow.
around in a chair and is like, "I'll do it myself."
This movie stars Jim Carrey as both Ivan and Gerald Robotnik. He's top billed on this Goo because he's Jim Carrey.
I
and
think
he's
you
playing 2
have to. I
roles.
think it's a rule in his contract that if I'm in these Sonic movies, I am top billed.
Ben Schwartz as the voice of Sonic. Keanu Reeves as the voice of Shadow.
How was he?
I was just gonna say, I thought I was gonna be distracted by it. It actually worked really
Okay.
well. I enjoyed
I've
it.
seen mixed reactions.
Okay. Idris Elba as Knuckles, I think might be the best of the bunch. It just really works.
Have you
for
seen him
whatever
doing
reason.
the voiceover? He puts the giant gloves on when he's doing
Does he
it.
really?
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Colleen O'Shaughnessy as Tails, James Marsden as Tom, Tika Sumpter as Maddie. That's the couple that have
Yeah.
been sort of involved with Sonic this whole time. Leah Majub as Agent Stone. That's Robotnik's right-hand man. Kristen Ritter is in this for the first time as Director Rockwell. She's a director for Gun, the big overarching,
Yeah.
sci-fi thing that's involved in all
G-U-N.
this. And then Alila Brown in this is Maria. She is involved in Shadow's backstory. My one major note and criticism about this movie was like exactly what I thought and wanted to be going in. So
Yeah.
if you're expecting some fun, dynamic fun for like 10, 12, 13, 8-year-olds, this movie is exactly that.
Yeah.
From a grown-up standpoint, the first one I felt like was too much humans. The second one I thought was the right mix. This one gets into Shadow's background a little bit, which is necessary. And Shadow was attached at the hip to this young girl named Maria, which is actually Robotnik's granddaughter, and then I guess the younger Robotnik's sister.
Spoilers.
No, it's all part of it. Goot, I think she's supposed to be playing about like 8 to 10 in this movie. She looks like she's 13 or 14. It's like oddly miscast. It doesn't ruin it, but you're like, she seems like too stupid for someone that looks the way she does. She looks like she's 13, and I think she's trying to pull off 9, and it just doesn't work.
Let me ask you this. Is it a good mix of just fun and fan servicey
Yes.
video
Yeah, so that's
game? Yeah.
the first one got away from that and was too much human element. The second one really leaned into the Satisfactor, fan factor, Sonic stuff. This one does a lot of that as well. Shadow's a really cool character. The animation is really, really good. They've really perfected that. Not much bore-wise. It just doesn't have a super high, right?
Mhm.
For kids, it will. For adults, it won't. But it's generally enjoyable. Good popcorn movie. I think I have it at 30 hot dogs.
Oh.
Like I didn't love it. I didn't dislike it. It was like exactly what I expected. Maybe 31. I want to say I gave Sonic 2 32 hot dogs. I like the second one a little bit more. But that might also be because expectations going into Sonic 2 were much lower.
Yes.
But this one and the second one are much in the same vein. If you've got a young kid, in that like 6 to 12 range, I think they're really going to enjoy this movie.
I guess my final question is, would you recommend watching Anora and Sonic on a split screen?
I think maybe that. So let's try to narrow in on the age group that could enjoy both. What's it like 14, 15?
No, it's people that played Sonic as a kid.
No. 14 or 15-year-olds.
All right, fine.
Yeah, no, this it's an enjoyable movie. It's you won't regret watching it. It just doesn't like hit super high highs.
Let's get into Maxac.
And Maxac could be anything it could be about. And thanks to the fine people over at Discussing Film on X, we now have a good list of movie anniversaries that maybe we take a step outside of our usual schedule and do a film review on these. So I got rid of, they had just everybody that had like a 30th, a 20th, a 15th, a 5. And I went just 10, 25, 50. Those are the big numbers, right?
Sure.
I'm going to read these off to you. You let me know if you would like to do a standalone on these.
Okay.
Or even if you would like to put it into a jumble of the movies that came out that year. And we do like, these are the 50th anniversary movies.
Okay.
Okay. Jaws.
I think Jaws might be worth doing because we do reference Jaws quite a bit. And it is such a significant movie. That might be a good pre-summer.
I also watch it every year, and I'm always blown away by how good it is.
Really, obviously, really, really
every
good
single time.
And everyone's seen it, so it'd be decent to talk about.
These next two movies are from 10 years ago, Creed and Sicario.
As good and as surprising as Creed was, I don't feel the need to go back and talk about it.
Mhm.
Sicario, however, because of Denis Villeneuve and Taylor Sheridan, that combination.
Yeah.
And I still think it's kind of underrated when people talk about like best movies of the last decade. That might be worth one talking about as well.
X-Men.
Does not hold up very well, and I don't feel like criticizing it.
Fantasia from 85 years ago.
No, I'll pass on that one.
Gladiator. We just did a whole Gladiator.
Yeah, we kind of missed the boat on that one.
Memento. 25.
So that's another one because of Christopher Nolan. Memento might be worth Memento. might be worth
Memento.
going back to talk about.
Have we done a Kingsman episode?
So we definitely reviewed the second and third ones, right? And
Definitely
we
the
might have
one. I think we skipped the third one.
we
I think we mentioned the third one.
yeah.
I hate
We
it.
have talked extensively about Kingsman and its influences on
Yeah.
us over the last decade. So that's probably not necessary.
I'll jump around the list a little bit because we also have Kick-Ass, which I question, have we done a standalone on that? Or just the movie
I
one?
don't think we have. I don't think we have. To me, it's a 40 dogger, so
First
that's
Kingsman's
probably
great.
worth talking
First
about.
Kick-Ass is great, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Castaway, 25 years.
No, I'm good.
I love Castaway. The Martian, 10 years.
I got Shawshank by the Martian 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
It's better than I remember it being. It's a really fucking good movie.
Scary Movie, 25 years.
You can't review Scary Movie, but that's
I could do it by myself, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Unbreakable, 25 years.
No, I think we missed the boat on that.
Yeah.
But really good movie.
Final Destination, 25 years.
Maybe a dink with Keith you could do.
American Psycho, 25 years.
So as that picks up steam as they're doing this reboot,
I
it
heard
might
that
be
they
worth
might not
reviewing.
be doing that. That might have been a prank.
Okay, I hope so.
It'd
Because
be a
it
weird
doesn't seem
prank. Go
necessary.
ahead. Yeah, it'd be a weird prank. The Force Awakens, we already did. Mad Max Fury Road.
I wonder if I should rewatch Fury Road now because I liked Furiosa so much and really didn't like Fury Road. I wonder if I would have a different viewing this time around.
Requiem for a Dream. I never want to watch that again. I don't want to watch.
I don't want to submit myself to that.
No. Remember the Titans.
It's a great movie. I get
It is a good
Shawshank by
movie.
that all the time too.
Yeah. Age of Ultron. We've already done a million things with that.
Yeah, yeah.
25 years ago, The Emperor's New Groove came out. People did not give it
Cusco.
enough respect.
It's a really funny movie. It's a really good movie.
Actually, what I would recommend for you to do is watch making ofs of that movie because there were like 10 different scripts. There were a bunch of different tonal changes, directors in and out. Like they completely overhauled that movie several times.
That would be a good live action remake one. That'd be a good candidate for that.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
I've never seen that movie. Good.
Oh.
Never seen
How
it.
the Grinch Stole Christmas. I will never watch you again.
That that came out
25 years ago.
That came out in 2000?
I think so. Unless this list is wrong. I didn't fact check.
I thought that was like 04. The Jim Carrey one we're talking about, right?
I thought it might be 99, but 00 makes sense.
I think it's later than that because I'm pretty sure it was my little brother's first theater movie in like 03 or 04.
You can look it up while I'm speaking if you want.
Yeah.
Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. I would do this as a double feature with Mask of the Phantasm, like the two animated movies that were a part of the shows.
Yeah, that might be worth talking about. Didn't you do Mask of the Phantasm?
I think I've just talked about it a million times.
Okay. Yeah, How the Grinch Stole Christmas with 2000.
How dare you question discussing film?
How old's my brother? He's not 25.
And then finally, it's 50th anniversary, and maybe we can do this as a double feature with Jaws, One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, all-timer. Admittedly, it's not near the top of my list.
It doesn't have the same pacing that Jaws does, and that I think 70s movies always does that to me, is that the pacing is so fucking drawn out.
The 70s, they spend a lot of time with dead air and characters having conversations, which can work. It hurts rewatches though, and it's sometimes it's really hard to go back and rewatch those movies. However, it is the same year as Jaws, so maybe we do a Goovy Vault for that year.
I'm not doing a Goovy Vault for 1975. We can just talk about a couple movies from that year. I'm not doing a Goovy.
I think wasn't it? Oh, Black Christmas might have been 74. We could do 75.
Black Christmas, I think, was 74. I don't know. Either way, so guys, go over to X or Instagram, or you can email me. Let's see how many emails I have backed up right now. I am at 5,125.
You piece of shit.
Try and break through. Get me to look. Let us know what movies you want us to review that came out in those years that we just listed. So thanks.
Yeah.
Mac,
yeah.
Where can the people find us?
Yeah. Also, before that, on the horizon, we have what's the name of the Bob Dylan movie? We'll be getting into that. A Complete Unknown. We'll be getting to Nosferatu soon. I actually think we should get to Sing Sing as well. So those are probably the 3 left for 2024. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Mac and Goo Podcast. Every other platform we are Mac ampersand Goo. That's Mac Shift 7 Goo. That includes Facebook, Stitcher, TuneIn, Castbox, Spreaker, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify. More importantly, we're on Apple Podcasts. Get on there, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars. If you do that, we'll get you a free Mac and Goo t-shirt from the folks over at Watertown Sportswear. That's Watertown Sportswear, 34 Mount Auburn Street in Watertown. WatertownSportswear.com, expert screen printing and embroidery.
tpublic.com, merch. Go buy some merch. Also, you mentioned that we were going to do some movies coming up. We will also have our Mac and Goo Awards, our Cinemac and Goovy Awards coming up by the end of this month. Then next month, we'll have our Mac and Goovy Vaults, and we will also have we're working out times and dates for the draft. I lost.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The closer we get, I don't think we're going to get it in before Captain America, because we're now just a month away from Captain America, I think, pretty much. So
yeah. So check us out everywhere podcasts are found. Tuesdays are Goose Days. I abuse kangaroos. Tim Burton.
Bye.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.
Now it's time for girls jumping on trampolines.
I forgot to point out the A for Anora on my pullover here.
Yeah, we're in post credit right now. I will say that Anora, carrot sign facing over Annie.
I agree. Yeah, I don't like Annie's not for me.
No,
but I also
beautiful, unique name of Anora.
I actually liked that little aspect too of him telling her like, oh, I like Anora more because Annie would be more stripper part, and then Anora's the person she wants to grow into.